Welcome to Wild Guns Reloaded. I'm your host, not completely joined by my good friend Elemental Ogre. So Wild Guns Reloaded is an enhanced remaster of Wild Guns for the Super Nintendo. Despite that it looks like an arcade game, it was never actually an arcade game. It was built from the ground up for the Super Nintendo. And Natsume made Wild Guns Reloaded. So Reloaded stretches the screen to 16:9, ports it to modern consoles. It has far more detailed, complicated sprite work on everything. The sprite work is just beautiful. And it's got a few other things that we'll talk to as time goes on. For example, a dog. Now, the original Wild Guns for the Super Nintendo had single player and multiplayer. The single player had infinite continues, and the game is known to be difficult. The remaster, Reloaded, a few things changed by the very nature. For one, the screen scrolls left and right as you're playing. It did this in the Super Nintendo version. However, because the screen is wider, 16:9, there are more enemies visible on screen at any given time, which means there are more enemies that are shooting at you, which means Reloaded is objectively a little bit harder than the Super Nintendo one. Still an amazing game. Still fantastic visuals. The gameplay it still holds up, hard as it may be, and oh my goodness, just the overall design of the friggin' Wild West and everything. Like, I want to praise this game a lot, but first I have to speak on the fact that there are a few things Natsume did that I don't necessarily agree with. So the single player in this game still does have infinite continues. When you have to use a continue, however, your score is no longer uploaded to the leaderboards. There are online leaderboards. This is fine. Completely understandable. The multiplayer does not have continues. And it has a shared lives system. Which means if you play multiplayer, you have 3 lives to get through the entire game. And that's it. And Natsume has gone on record saying that the multiplayer is for groups who are committed and have fantastic teamwork in order to get through, and they will not be making any changes to that. But between the fact that the game does not have online, it's local only, it's going to be challenging finding someone who is as skilled and willing to put the time in to getting better, especially when it's local, that the multiplayer has kind of been said to be nearly impossible for a regular player. Like, it takes a special couple people to, like, put their heart into it and actually get it done. So if you want to play the multiplayer for fun, it's unlikely that you'll beat it. Additionally, the single player has selectable difficulties, easy, medium, hard. The multiplayer does not have selectable difficulties. The difficulty is determined by how many people you're playing with. If you're playing with 2 people, you're forced to play on easy. If you're playing with 3 people, you're forced to play on normal. And if you're playing with 4 people, you're forced to play on hard. I feel like they should have just given us the choice. Like, I can kind of understand some of these decisions and the reasoning that goes into it, but at the end of the day, it means multiplayer is effectively impossible. There are a few other ramifications of this that I will speak to when we get there, because for now, we're going to want to start up this game. So playing 2 players, me and Ogre. I'm going to be playing as Annie, and while color C is tempting, I'm going to have to go with pink. And you're being, what was her name, Doris?
Doris, yes.
Which surprised me, but you know what? Let's go. So I have 3 lives right now. Now I have a lot of lives. And that's how we're going to do this. I disagree with how they handled the live system. If they simply gave us continues, then I would have done that. And we just would have practiced well enough because, or well enough to get through that. But this is what we got to do. So, in playing the game, the controls may take a little bit of getting used to. There is a shoot button. While you're shooting, you can move the cursor around. While you're not shooting, you move yourself around, and I suppose the cursor moves a little. While you're shooting, if you hit jump, you do this sweet dodge roll.
I mean, you do a dodge roll, I just go like, yeah. I scoot over.
While you're not shooting, you have a double jump. So this guy, if you stand far enough away from him, or even on the edges of the screen, he almost can't hurt you.
Well, it also helps that I lasso him, so...
Yeah. Oh, lassoing, you can do that too. If you, instead of holding down the attack button, if you mash the attack button, then you will throw out a lasso. Hitting an enemy with a lasso will stun them in place for a moment. Guys in back throw dynamite.
You can actually pick up the dynamite and throw it back at them.
Oh, you can? That's hilarious.
They were showing it on the demo screen that if you pick it up, you can just throw it back at them.
When the guys come up on the same screen as you, if you walk over in front of them and hit the attack button, you will smack them and effectively one shot. There are plenty of power-ups in the game. However, only I can collect them. Wow, just obliterated.
Well, I lassoed him too, so he was stuck in place.
Boss time!
Yeah, Doris only throws grenades. She doesn't get power-ups as far as I know.
And
at the same time, do you really need anything else if you're just chucking 7 grenades at full charge?
Yeah, come on. Yeah, so, me and Clint?
Anna and Clint, yeah.
Yeah. Anna and Clint play pretty much the same. And
I think they were the original characters.
Yeah, and they're the 2 original characters. 2 new characters were added to this game, that being Doris, and I forget the dog's name. But you know, it's a dog.
Sweet puppers, let's go with that.
Sure. And they play quite differently. Doris has a very powerful regular attack in the form of the grenades. However, kind of as a punishment, she cannot pick up power-ups.
Well, trade-off would be...
Yeah, trade-off. She cannot pick up power-ups.
Yeah, I don't get new guns in comparison to what Clint and Anna get.
Let's go to Desolation Canyon. The dog is intended to help out players who aren't as good at the game, because he has a very large target reticle. What the heck hit me?
This is the robots coming out of the ground. One of them almost shot me too.
I think he appeared like
in front of you.
Yeah, like right in front of me, so I didn't even see it.
That's what caught me off guard was I just had a reticle going like, watch out. And I was like, watch out for what?
Yeah, so the dog has a very large target reticle, and... Oh my goodness, I hate these guys so much. And will auto-target to anything within that target reticle. So you don't have to be nearly as precise when firing. I'm getting some friggin' Joy-Con drift on this Xbox controller. That's why my cursor just kind of goes off in some direction sometimes. These freaking flying guys are the worst.
Got a machine gun power up next to you.
Nah. The towers in back throw lassos on you, which kind of stun you in place. I think we've both been hit by one at this point.
Probably.
He exploded.
I usually hit the bosses with lassos as soon as I can.
Yeah, the main bosses cannot be lassoed, but like the mini bosses go down like weenies if you lasso them. So not every enemy on screen will shoot. Like you see these guys come down from the top of the screen. They won't all shoot. You kind of have to pay attention to which one will, so you know how to dodge. Even the regular enemies, like these guys rolling out, not all of them will shoot. That may be an easy mode thing, but I also know over the course of the game, more and more enemies will shoot. So by the end of the game, everything is trying to kill you.
Everything is bullets.
You can also destroy the environment, which is amazing. Like, look how bullet-ridden that back wall is.
I mean, you say bullet-ridden, here I am just chucking grenades at everything.
So you also have a screen clear that you can
right,
do.
we do.
I don't think it clears the entire screen. I think it just clears the half of the screen in front of you. Let's see here. Fire, fire, fire.
Double jump and die.
You can also double jump over it. You can also just dive through it for some inexplicable reason. Oh, I tried to dodge, but I was a little late. Come on, go up! Well, we killed it.
I didn't mean go up like that, but whatever works for you.
So I think the one thing that I kind of wish could be changed about the game's control scheme isn't necessarily anything to do with the port, because the port just controls like the Super Nintendo game did. So in turn, I kind of wish the Super Nintendo game did it, was instead of while you fire, you move your target around, it'd be nice if there was another button, like, I don't know, the shoulder button.
Oh yeah, no, like you can change the shoulder buttons.
Yeah, they let you remap the controls.
To be remapped, but it's like you don't. You can like jump with them. You can probably remap them to be jumping, but
yeah, I'd destroy those two things that are on your side.
Oh yeah, they're turrets. Okay, I see it. I'm working on it.
Well, I didn't have anybody on my side. Yeah, like, it'd be nice even in the Super Nintendo one if maybe you could, like, hold the shoulder button or whatever in order to move your target around instead. That would let you do stuff like move without moving the target reticle quite as much. Or move my target reticle over top of what I want to shoot at before shooting. Which isn't that big a deal because you have infinite ammo, except when you have power-ups.
I mean, surprisingly...
Because I have to, like, effectively waste a ton of ammo getting my target over what I want to shoot at.
I mean, surprisingly, just putting it here, like, I'm using the D-pad right now, and it's not really that hard.
Yeah, like, aiming isn't bad. The biggest fault, I feel, is if I want to reposition myself physically.
Yeah.
Then, like, it takes a little while for me to get the cursor where I want it to be.
It should have definitely been, like, dodging was to the bumpers.
So I found in this particular screen, the lowest priority is the dudes with shields. They will drop down, eventually shoot one bullet at you, and then just run off the side of the screen. Far more important is to take out these tanks, and later on, these flying idiots. Yeah, these idiots. So they will teleport around, when they teleport, they're about to do a sweeping attack, so don't be standing directly underneath their general area.
Can't dodge into them either. Because I was actually dodging into it and it just killed me.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of bullets, so it's probably hard to, like, time it real well. Yeah, you do get lives over the course of the game. I'm not actually sure what triggers that.
I'm assuming it's score.
I would assume it's score.
If it's supposed to be emulating arcade kind of style, it's definitely score based.
Oh, so I think how the levels go is you'll see a timer down there in the center of the screen. I think the general idea is just survive until that timer goes down. And once the timer empties, a mini-boss shows up.
I'm back again with more cards ahead. Do you get that? I'm a Pharaoh dealer. You only get that if you really know Old West stuff.
No, you know what? I'm gonna focus on him and ignore... Yeah, that works. And then the real boss! So in here, you can kind of ignore the dudes that come in on the left and right side. They'll come out and shoot at you. My cursor just flew off to the side for some reason. They'll come out and shoot at you, but, like, then they just leave again. And it's only one little bullet, so just kind of don't get hit by it and you're fine. I'm focusing on survivability. Like, if you want to min-max your score, go for it. Kill all those guys.
Min-max my score. I'm
Milk them for points.
I'm just having fun playing a pretty good game.
Yeah, like, I have my... Honest to goodness, I have my qualms with how they handled the multiplayer. And, like, the difficulty of it. But, like, that aside, game's heckin' fun.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the other thing I didn't mention. Another kind of qualm that I have. Sort of. It's a bigger problem with multiplayer than it is with single player. So, they also added 2 new stages in Reloaded. Because the 4 stages you see here, on top of 2 additional ones, the original game only had 6 stages. So they added 2 new ones in this, making it an 8 total stages. However, which stages you have access to are determined by the difficulty you're playing the game on. So on easy mode, this roulette here has the 4 original Super Nintendo stages. On normal, one of those stages is swapped out with one of the new stages, and on hard, 2 of them are swapped out for the new stages. For single player, I don't have as big a problem with this, because you have infinite continues, and you can play hard if you want to. You can get good, so to say, and play hard in order to experience those new stages. Practice them a bunch. Multiplayer, as I mentioned, difficulty is determined by how many people are playing. Which means in order to see both of those new stages, we have to play with 4 people. That's not even like the lives difficulty or whatever. That's like, we just can't see it in multiplayer without 2 more bodies. And that's a little...